With plenty of changes already in a matter of weeks since Vince McMahon's retirement, it is thought Paul Levesque is keen to stamp his own authority on the WWE. Under McMahon's tenure, plenty of wrestlers were let go, but since he has called it quits, a lot of them have actually returned to the fold. Today we're discussing 7 wrestlers that the WWE has rehired since Vince McMahon's retirement. Stay with us. Let's jump straight in then. It's B-Fab. Real name Brianna Brandy, B-Fab was seen as the soul of Hit Row during her stint with the WWE, and when she left back in November 2021, it signaled the end for the group too. Great on the microphone as well as her standout look, B-Fab was popular with fans, but the WWE were clearly concerned with the subpar wrestling ability. She was released in a huge call at the end of last autumn, with many shocked by the news at the time as Hit Row was being set up for a bit of a babyface push. Apparently WWE officials thought Hit Row would be just fine without her, and even more surprisingly, she had just signed a new contract at the time to become part of the main roster. Whatever happened late last year, it seems B-Fab and the WWE have put it all behind them, as she made her glorious return on Smackdown on August 12th. The Ohio native will hopefully now get a serious run in the promotion, as she is certainly one of the more marketable characters. Who is your favorite member of Hit Row? Let us know below. We're talking about Ashante Adonis now. Stay tuned. Adonis was part of the same call which saw B-Fab cut from the promotion late last year, but as things are currently changing pretty quickly around WWE HQ, Adonis has been welcomed back into the fold. Having first appeared for the organization back in 2018, Adonis, real name Tahuti Miles, actually appeared under his first ring name, Elijah King, on Monday Night Raw, going up against Braun Strowman in a 2-on-1 match alongside Brandon Scott. He then appeared on 205 Live in a singles match the following year against Danny Burch, which he won. 2020 saw him lose 3 matches in a row before deciding on a name change, which didn't alter his fortunes as he was defeated by the Brian Kendrick. Having never really threatened the main roster, Adonis was drafted to Smackdown late last year, but only made 1 appearance before being cut in November of 2021. But just like B-Fab, Adonis was welcomed back into the fold after Vince McMahon stepped down recently. What have you guys made of Ashante Adonis's WWE career so far? Top Dolla is coming through next. Stay with us. It's safe to say Top Dolla, aka AJ Francis, has had quite an interesting career so far. The wrestler, who just like the previous 2 Hit Row members on today's list, was cut last November before reappearing on August 12th SmackDown, used to turn out in the NFL. During his career as a defensive tackle, he was in the employ of teams such as the Washington Redskins and the Miami Dolphins. However, he could never quite manage to nail down a role as an essential part of any team he actually played for. In 2020, he made the move to WWE, but didn't make his TV debut for another 18 months or so. When he did appear, he aligned himself with Isaiah Swerve Scott by helping him beat Leon Ruff. This storyline confirmed Top Dolla as a heel, and soon after he formed what we today know as Hit Row, alongside Scott and the aforementioned Adonis and B-Fab. Hit Row would later feud with Legado del Fantasma, which would turn them into faces in the process. However, their places on SmackDown came to an abrupt end last November, as Top Dolla, Adonis, and B-Fab were all cut from the roster. It seems as though Vince McMahon's forced retirement has worked out well for Hit Row, as the band are well and truly back together. Who is your favorite wrestling group in WWE? Give us your thoughts below. And now, it's Dakota Kai. Cheery Crowley, or Dakota Kai as she is better known to WWE fans, had been a staple of the promotion for the past 7 years. Having first appeared on WWE NXT in October 2015, she signed a deal with WWE the following year. She was announced as a participant in the Mae Young Classic in June 2017, beating Kavita Devi and Rhea Ripley, before losing in the quarterfinals to Kairi Sane. Later that year, she lost in a battle royal to challenge for the Women's NXT Championship, before closing the year out with a win over Reina Gonzalez and Sage Beckett, having teamed up with Rhea Ripley. Kai continued with similar storylines over the next few years, before she was released from the WWE in April 2022. However, she was away little more than 2 months before making her glorious comeback at Summerslam at the end of July alongside Bayley and Io Sky, with the trio being marketed as allies going forward. She will now appear on Raw as a heel, where directly after SummerSlam she turned up, attacking Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka in the process. And it seems to be going well for the Kiwi, as she has since defeated Dana Brooke and Tamina, alongside her tag team partner Sky, in the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament. Are you guys happy to see Dakota Kai back in the WWE ring. Next up, it's Dexter Lumes. Stay tuned. Having been on the independent circuit for more than a decade, Dexter Lumes got the call he had been waiting for from the top promotion back in 2019. Having appeared on NXT, he lost his first ever match against Fabian Eichner, but soon established himself as a face. He gained the nickname of Tortured Artist after bringing out an art easel and drawing a sketch of himself with the Undisputed Era in the background. He then went on a decent run, defeating Roderick Strong in a strap match before beating Timothy Thatcher and Finn Balor. However, he soon sustained an ankle injury, ruling him out for the rest of the summer. He carried on the rest of his WWE career in this vein, largely as a secondary wrestler, and was involved in a fun storyline last summer when Indy Hartwell proposed to him. He accepted, and the pair were married on the September 14th edition of NXT, before Lumes choked out the Priest, as you do. He didn't last long, however, and was cut this April alongside Dakota Kai. But he soon returned after McMahon's retirement, making his comeback appearance on Raw on August 8th. Who is your favorite wrestler right now? We're talking Karrion Kross now. Kross, real name Kevin Kazar, had been wrestling professionally for 5 years before the WWE came calling back in 2020. He had actually made a one-off appearance back in 2015, but would have to wait a while before being invited back. He debuted on NXT by attacking Ciampa, going on to beat Leon Ruff in a squash match. Later that summer, he would suffer a separated shoulder, having only just won the NXT Championship. The injury meant he would have to vacate the title, making it the shortest reign in the title's history in the process. However, he would win the title again upon his return, but would eventually lose it to Samoa Joe before going to Raw in the summer of 2021. He wouldn't last long, however, as he was released from his WWE contract alongside Scarlett. More on her in a second, shortly after. He wouldn't be away long though, as like everyone else on this list, he benefited from Vince McMahon's retirement to make his second debut at Smackdown on August 5th. What is your favorite memory of Karrion Kross? Let us know below. And finally, it's Scarlett. Stay tuned. Elizabeth Chaya, better known as Scarlett Bordeaux, turned out for WWE from 2019 to 2021. She made her first appearance as one of the Rosebuds all the way back in 2014, but wouldn't make her ring debut until December 2016. She wasn't a full-time contracted wrestler at this point, however, and would have to wait for tryouts in 2019 for that to happen. It was announced in November of that year that she had been signed, appearing as the valet of her real-life boyfriend, the aforementioned Karrion Kross. She would simultaneously manage him during his NXT Championship run, but was deemed surplus to requirements and released alongside Kross in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, like everybody else we've mentioned today, Scarlett returned on August 5th at SmackDown alongside Kross to attack Drew McIntyre. Between her release and re-signing, Scarlett has turned out for Major League Wrestling, where she defeated Clara Vereras in her singles debut. Of course, there will more than likely be more old faces returning in the coming weeks and months, so let us know who you'd like to see make a return in the comments below. As usual, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to swing by again next time when we will be reviewing all sorts of cool bits and pieces. And why not do us a big favor by liking and sharing today's video with any WWE heads you might know of. Bye guys.